everybody. Just checking in for a update. 2 days to update you on. So Saturday, we did a Moshi tour, myself and two of the other ladies from the hotel. Moshi is like a city where there's a waterfall and a coffee plantation and the banana beer factory. So we wanted to take a tour of those different things. And on the way there, you're supposed to be able to see Kilimanjaro. So we had a driver for the day that we were paying, and he was going to take us to go see these different things. So it was like a 2.5 hour drive to get there. Good drive. He had a really nice vehicle, no issues at all with the drive. But as we were driving there, he's talking to us about the waterfalls that we were going to see and that we have to hike to the waterfalls. Now, the company that I'm here working with, THE, they also do the same tour, but they charge more. They do it on a bus with a group of people. But we decided we wanted to do it in a smaller group, and this guy was charging less and it was going directly to him. So we wanted to support his business also. So, in hindsight, I wish I had just done it with the company because the experience that the other volunteers had and the experience that we had yesterday were very, very different. So, first of all, on the ride there, he's telling us about the hike that we're about to take. And he's saying that, it can be a difficult hike. It was raining. It rains every day here because it's rainy season. It was raining. He's like, the ground will be slippery. We need to have good, like, shoes with good grip. I'm like, oh, I don't have that. Like, first of all, when I was getting dressed, I started to put on a dress. So that tells you how unprepared I was and what my expectations were versus what the reality was. So, as he's talking about how difficult the hike is going to be, and I'm looking at the weather, I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm going to do this. Especially with my neuropathy, I have a very difficult time walking on flat surfaces. I'm not about to start climbing a mountain, um, you know, on slippery dirt roads with like my mom's sneakers on. They're not like hiking boots. So I'm like, don't worry about me. You all can still do the hike. I'll just, I'll sit around and wait. It's not a problem for me. So we get to the place, and first of all, it looks a little bit shady. There's just like guys sitting on the side of a road, and like he starts speaking to them in Swahili. And one of the guy gets on his motorcycle and it's like, okay, follow me. So we're following behind him, and he has us just pull over on the side of the road, not in a parking lot, not anything. And he's like, okay, so this is where we're gonna make the coffee. So I'm like, okay, like where is it? So it's down, like you gotta walk through some trees and like down a I couldn't even take pictures because I needed both hands to balance. I couldn't risk taking my phone out to take photos of this. But it was crazy. Just going down, walking through like it was like we were on the side of a cliff. And nobody should do this. But apparently this is the way of life and they do this all the time, so it's nothing to them. So we go down there, and the coffee making was fun, honestly. We got to see, all of the different stages from the beans being on the tree, when they're not ripe to when they are ripe, to how, they peel them, how you roast them, and then how you grind them. So it was nice learning about the coffee. It smelled great. I'm not even a big coffee drinker, but I had a little cup. So that was nice. But then the rest of the group, so the two ladies and the guy who drove us and the guy on the motorcycle, they went to go do the hike, right? Hike that was supposed to be a 40-minute hike. Took them 3 hours. So I was sitting and waiting for 3 hours, not inside some air conditioned, cushy place. No, this is Tanzania, right? So I am sitting outside with the mosquitoes under kind of like a pavilion. But again, not complaining. I'm not going to say I knew what I signed up for, but I did tell them go ahead and go take the hike. I was the one who decided not to go, not an issue. So while I was there, though, they set up like a little gift shop. And it was like probably like six different guys who had like different pieces of art that they were trying to sell. And so because I'm the only one there, all the pressure's on me. They're like, oh, take it, take it. Look, it does it, it's free to look, free to look. And they had beautiful, beautiful art. I did end up purchasing a couple of pieces for my siblings, but again, like to have six guys looking at you like, hey, you're gonna buy something, you're gonna buy something, you wanna buy something. And then you feel bad because these are the actual artists themselves who are trying to sell them their things. So as you turn, like if you don't like something and you just move to the next one, there, if it looks like their feelings are hurt, so you have to be sensitive to that. But again, they were great. That was my own self feeling the pressure of it all. But overall, not a bad experience with the guys there. Once I decided what I was purchasing, they left. Like they were only there specifically for me. Once they got back from the hike, I am so glad that I didn't go because, again, a 40-minute hike turned out to be a 3-hour hike. They came back filthy. One of the girls had on like gripper sandals, is what she calls them, but her feet were like completely covered in mud. They had to like literally trek through mud. I'm going to post a photo of one of their feet to get through it. It was definitely not something that I would have enjoyed, so I'm glad I stayed behind. Even just walking down to the coffee place, I almost fell twice. So I couldn't imagine having to hike 3 hours in the mud and not hurting myself. So I'm glad I made the decision that I set my boundaries on this trip. I was going to challenge myself, and I feel like I certainly have. But I also know what my limits are, and I'm happy that I've been confident enough to say no. And for me, that's a big deal because I'm not always the person who says no. Sometimes I try to be a people pleaser. And so I'm happy that I stuck my ground and was like, no, I'm not doing that. That's my limit. So once they got back, we had lunch there, home cooked meal prepared by one of the guy's aunts. Nothing really for me to eat. I'm a bit of a picky eater, but they had like a banana stew. They had a beef stew. They had white rice. They had like a brown rice. They had soybeans, some spinach, and like a cucumber salad. So I picked a little bit, but I really didn't eat much, especially because I knew what the restrooms were like. Here they have, most places have squatter potties, which means you literally squat down and there's not like an actual toilet there. And I'm not that comfortable using squatter potties, so I just try not to go when I'm out. So I was not trying to eat or drink anything. So literally I went from 8 a.m. in the morning when we got picked up till like 7:45 at night when we got brought back here, without drinking anything and eating very little. But whatever, I survived. So once we finished eating, we said, okay, now we're going to go to our next stop, which was supposed to be the Banana Beer Factory. If we went, with the company, THE, we would have went to the actual factory where they teach you about how they actually process and make the banana beer. But it seems like this was kind of haphazard, and we just like drove down the road, and there was like a bar on the side of the road, and somebody came up from a bush and with 2 bottles of beer and was like, here, this is the banana beer. So there's banana beer and there's banana wine, and it's a big thing here. You can only get it in this specific area called Moshi, and it's supposed to be super high potency, so it's like 10% alcohol in one beer. So that's what all the hype is about. I was more interested in how they actually make it than in actually drinking the beer itself. But that was not the case. It was just like, okay, let's have a drink of banana beer and banana wine. And the way they serve it in these big like cups that are like 40-ounce cups. If you ever gone to New Orleans and you've gotten like the beer that says giant beer, that's how big the cup is. And it has like banana pits like in it, and everyone drinks from the one cup. And again, culturally, that's what they do, right? But for me, like, I don't even drink out of plastic cups, let alone sharing a plastic cup with like 8 other people, right? So luckily they gave it to me first to drink from, because I think had everybody else drunk from it and they passed it to me, it would have been a hard no. But I was the first one, so I took a little and passed it on. I didn't even try the one in the can, the beer in the can, the bottle. I just said I'll take my bottle to go, and I actually have it here in the fridge. Maybe I'll try it tomorrow with dinner. Um, so that was it. That was the whole banana beer experience. Very disappointing to me because I really wanted to learn about how they make it. I wanted to see how it's packaged. This was just like some guy on the side of the road got two bottles of beer and was like, here, like test it, taste it, and see if you like it, right? Not the experience I was imagining. So then it looked like the driver was exhausted because he also did the hike and was discouraging us from going to the hot springs and was like, well, it's an unpaved road that we're going to have to drive down for 50 minutes. But if you all really want to go, I'll take you. So the other ladies was like, no, it's fine. So I'm like, okay, I guess fine. I guess we're not going to the hot springs. They felt terrible that I didn't do the hike, I didn't see the waterfall, I didn't get to see the hot springs. And so they were like, oh, we'll pay, for your portion of the trip. You don't have to chip anything in. But of course, I did anyway. Um, and while we were driving back, we had a really good conversation. That's what I'll say. Like, I enjoyed most about the trip would be learning about the coffee and the conversation in the car. I got to learn a lot about the culture from the driver. But the ladies really wanted to see Mount Kilimanjaro. And depending on how the weather is, how foggy it is, if you'll be able to see the top of the mountain. And so, luckily, as we were driving, we tried at one point and we couldn't see it. And as we drove further down for like another 45 minutes, we were able to see it. We got out the car and pulled over. And I didn't think I would care because I'm not like a very big nature person, but it was a little bit breathtaking. I have to admit, it was a little breathtaking to see it, to know that I'm seeing something that most people only get to see in photographs and in videos, and that I'm able to see it with my bare eyes. Honestly, most people will never be able to do that. So that was kind of awesome. I have to say, I really enjoyed that experience. So we got back here, everybody was exhausted. I wasn't so tired because all I did was sit the whole day. Um, so I had dinner and then went to bed. This morning, I went to church again because I was home. Church was wonderful. The message was so powerful. Sometimes you feel like the message is specifically for you, and today was one of those days. They spoke about not hiding your testimony and that we all have a story, and God gives us messages, and we need to share those messages with other people. And so often, like, I am hesitant sometimes to share parts of my life with people. But to me, that was affirming the fact that I need to continue to share my story with people because it does touch lives. And so I'm going to continue sharing my little story. For those of you who want to hear, you will hear. And those of you who don't, that's okay as well. And then after service was over, I went downstairs and I got a chance to see a little bit of children's church, which is amazing how many kids come to church. Like, there are about 40, they have like six different classrooms and about 40 kids in each classroom. And then I got to see some kids from a particular boarding school. So in secondary school, many of the kids are sent to boarding school by their parents. And so when they're boarding, the school actually takes them to church every Sunday and does prayer with them and service. So it was nice to see these kids like so into the Word of God and on their knees praying. I thought it was beautiful, and then just a nice experience to see. And then after church, we walked around a bit. We were planning the business idea that I had for Perfect Vision for the girls to start was a walking food tour. And so we were trying to identify different restaurants that might be good fits for this food tour. So we walked around probably for about an hour identifying like 8 different restaurants that we want to try. And so tomorrow I'm going to work with them on mapping everything out and contacting the restaurants to develop the relationship. And then next week, Monday, before I leave, we're going to actually do a test run of the walking food tour. So that should be exciting. And then besides that, I was back by like noon. And I just spent the rest of the day relaxing. It's one of the first days that I've actually been here for the majority of the day. Usually I have placement, and then right after placement I do some type of activity in the afternoon. But I really had a lazy Sunday. I laid around, I watched a movie, I did some reading, I actually took a nap. So it was cool. It was just a quiet, lazy day, but I'm not complaining about that. And it's hard to believe I only have 5 days left here in Arusha. So I have 3 days this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then on Thursday, I leave for my little weekend getaway to Zanzibar. So I'll be gone from Thursday to Sunday. And then I'm back on Sunday evening, and I have Monday and Tuesday. And then I'm back home on Wednesday. So this month has flown by. It's hard to believe that it's almost over. But I also, as I reflect on it, I've done a lot in, the last 3 weeks, and I'm so grateful for this experience. I'm grateful to be able to share it with other people. I'm grateful for being blessed enough to be able to, even if it's a small impact, to be able to make some impact in the lives of other people. So that is it. That's my 2-day update. Hope everybody is doing well, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. We bless your name. Almighty God. We bless your name. Almighty God. Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata. Happy.